Greetings, everybody. I'm Scott Rodell here at the Great River Taoist Center, which is also home to our Academy of Chinese Swordsmanship. In light of recent events and the courage displayed by Simone Biles at the Tokyo Olympics, I wanted to share some of my thoughts as a martial artist. First, I'd like to say that I have great respect and admiration for all Olympic athletes from every country. The average person simply cannot imagine the amount of training, the hours and hours and years that they spend just to be able to wear that uniform, even if they don't get anywhere close to a podium. So they all have my genuine respect for the amount of work that they've done and the amazing performances that they put on. As a martial artist, I'd also like to talk about how we tend to really push ourselves and take real risks, especially for those of us who are really serious about our practice. And I think that Alex Honnold said it quite well in the documentary video, Free Solo. He said, "You face your fears because your goals demand it. That is the goddamn warrior spirit." He went on to say, the warrior spirit, you give something 100% focus because your life depends on it. And I think that's something that most people never really voluntarily choose to face in their life. It's something kind of thing that maybe those of us serious about martial artists or someone like a gymnast who's spinning around up on one of those bars, it's a very different experience. It's something the average person never really gets to know. That's the reason why I've done things that other people might think are insane, most recently having a student fire arrows at me. But in this case, we have to understand that we're not at our best every single day. And martial artists generally don't like to speak about any weaknesses. Complaining is just really not part of our practice. What we do is we train hard, we identify a weakness, we identify an area that needs more work, and we go back and train more. Training to cut arrows is something that's really quite dangerous. And to cut them, they have to be shot at a certain angle. If you are coming up at too steep of an angle, instead of being able to slice through the arrow, you'll hit it and knock it off course. So in a course of training, my archer, one of my students, was supposed to shoot them at about chest level. Of course, no arrow is always going to be shot in perfectly the same place every time, but the understanding was to shoot it here. He was understandably quite nervous, and during one training session, he shot it really too high, coming straight at my head, and it would have hit me if I hadn't have raised my arm up very quickly, hit it at the angle that it tumbled, and spin out of the way of it. And quite honestly, it was only my years of experience and the sort of martial arts reflexes that saved me. Of course, I hadn't told my wife and family that I was up to this, that I was training to have arrows shot at me, but they sort of figured out something was going on in the back garden that we were keeping quiet about. And I deleted the test video from the phone we were using to record it, but I didn't empty the trash. My wife went and saw it, and later on, for the first time, in fact, the only time she ever tried to talk me out of doing something because it was kind of dangerous. And I did promise to never do it again. But I digress. One morning I got up, we had planned a training, but I wasn't really feeling at my best. I honestly didn't really feel up to it. But students were always on their way to help. The archer, he had to practice, he had to get used to it. It made him very nervous to shoot arrows at me. I had another student coming to help record so we could see what angles worked best and I could check on my technique. And they were all on their way. They'd given up their Sunday morning to come and help me train. So I thought, all right, get up, get yourself ready. You may not feel up to it, but this is a day to show your spirit. And so we got there and we set up, and this was a really big mistake. I really could have been hurt. It was a dangerous mistake. And honestly, I don't quite remember what happened because I wasn't really there. I tried once or twice to cut a couple. I don't even think I hit them, or I maybe just bumped them. And I just said, sorry guys, I can't do this today. It takes real courage to say, sorry, not doing it today, and step back. Simone Biles showed very real courage, and she did so on the world stage. And this is something I honestly believe that a great many of us can learn from. Martial arts are not about being bold. They're not about blindly charging forward into any situation. Martial arts are about being courageous and mindful. Thank you for spending this time with me and allowing me to share my thoughts. Until next time, thanks and 再见.